Lashonda Geffard of the Paw Shop outside of Orlando, Florida. She is here today to go over all we need to know about grooming, the ins and the outs, the nuggets, the ups, the downs, and a little takeaway just to get you going. Please help me welcome Lashonda to the summit. Hey, Lashonda.
Hey, how you doing, girl?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
And thank you for coming on. So we needed to hear from our groomers. We don't get enough in our side sometimes of our groomers. So I wanted to get you on to kind of walk us through your story and what it's like and how you kind of got started.
Okay, well, I've been grooming for the past 13 years now. We've owned, I say we, my husband, we have a family-owned business, our salon. It's been open for about 5 years. I first got started, like any little girl who wants to work with animals, I wanted to be a vet. So I wanted to be a vet. Sorry, my phone
I thought that was a picture of you as a little girl. I was like, is that you as a little girl?
So I wanted to be a veterinarian. I couldn't, things just didn't pan out like that after high school. So I literally stumbled across grooming. I had no idea. Honestly, I'm like, why didn't I ever think about that? But I went to the school and it was to go and be a vet tech. And they offered grooming. And so I was like, wait a minute, I kind of like this. I love working with my hands. I love being creative. And I really love working with people. So I kind of dove into it and I never looked back. I think it was the best, for me, it was the best career decision. Like every single day, it never feels like work. My husband fusses at me. He's like, it's time to come home now, but because I'm so comfortable, it doesn't feel like I'm working.
Yeah.
I love it and I have a strong passion about it. So it's been 13 years in the making and I don't see myself slowing down.
Well, we've all been there, the whole dive deep and head first. So so you wanted to be a vet tech, but then how did you actually get introduced to the grooming section?
So one of the admins from the school, he was like, just kind of going over it. And, I was peeking into the classroom and I saw them doing haircuts and stuff on the dogs. And I was like, this is really interesting. So I took some time to really learn about the career. And, as a groomer, there's so much freedom that you have, and flexibility. It's the same as being a barber or, a hairstylist. You have a lot of freedom and flexibility. And right out of high school, I was like, I'm all about that. I'm about that life. I wanted to be able to, go and come as I please. Is ironically enough, both of my sisters are beauticians, but I'm the only one that do dogs. I can't do a person's hair at all, but I can cut your dog up. I can make him look really nice.
There you go.
So I really just learned a lot about the career, and I just fell in love with the idea of it. And like I said, I love being creative and I love working with my hands. So it made so much sense. So I just left the vet med part of it aside and I just went full throttle into grooming.
Wow. So did you take classes through that class?
I did. So I graduated from, it was then the Florida Institute of Animal Arts.
Wow.
They've now long time closed, but I went to school there. I was a full-time student. I learned the professional pet grooming, did all the courses. I actually apprenticed and I worked in a grooming salon while I was in school. So that was a double bonus for me. I got to learn real world experience, like, hey, this is what really happens in a salon. And then also, we have the school that really goes over the details and, the in and outs of the profession.
Yeah, I love that because I know, so I told you before I had my two big sheepadoodles and they kind of introduced me to the grooming role because I have my pug and my Frenchie who don't require much grooming, a quick bathe, nails, ear cleaning, anals, wrinkles, and I got it. So I've been taking care of them for a long time, but then when I got my sheepadoodle, I was like, wow, we need to do daily maintenance. Yeah, so I am, taking care of her, killing my back, putting her in our tub, a whole hot mess. But I was like, wow, groomers really have a whole craft, a whole art, a whole patience about you all that it really takes to put into it full time.
You have to. I mean, it's like working with kids. you have to be patient and you have to be passionate about it. Like, you have to want to do it.
Yeah.
Because they will try your patience too now. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. They're cute and fluffy, but they will try your patience, especially if they don't like the process. However, if you have that natural ability to be patient and to work with, you know, the animals and to be gentle and kind to them, then, you know, it'll only work itself out.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing career-wise. It's really good.
So tell me, someone who's thinking about getting into grooming, and you said you did apprenticeship. So is that what you would recommend, for is to tip your toe in first to kind of see if it's a good fit for you?
Yeah, honestly, I think that doing both is always really good if you can, because I know they have now like homeschool options where you can take courses online, and if you can find somewhere to work, you know, to kind of, you know, tie everything together, you know, to streamline it, that's always great. But honestly, I think that having both, because there's a lot that you don't learn as an apprentice, that you should. I know for me, because I learned so much being in the salon, I do offer apprenticeships. I have taught a number of groomers. I'm really into education, so in continuing education. So honestly, it's kind of like, you know, it's better if you can get the book work, but it's even better if you can have someone that will take you under their wing to show you. It honestly is just a matter of what you are available to do.
Yeah.
You know, going online is good, but it's nothing like having the dog in front of you. But if you have a dog in front of you and the only thing you're learning is how to cut the dog, then there's like skin and coat care, and you know, I'm really into skin. I love skin, so just like the deep down about skin care, issues with the skin, how to treat it. So honestly, they need to tie in together. But if I had to pick, probably apprenticeship.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think a lot of pet care providers as a whole can attest to that. You know, someone might give you the book version, but until you're actually in the field with your hands dirty and a live situation, you're like, whoa. You know, even when I did my dog walking business, I was like, damn it, dogs don't actually like to walk. I'm like, go figure, you know? So I think we all can relate to that, and especially with grooming, because, you know, again, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know to look for the skin education. You don't know to look for some of the, you know, the intensive. So you get that online, but then and then also, like you said, unless someone has a design program for you, they wouldn't even need to know what to teach you. They would say, hey, this is what I do every day. You know, this is my process. And just watch me.
Because there's some things that as a groomer and even as a business owner, like for example, for my program, you start at the bottom. You have to learn the basics. You have to learn bathing, brushing, combing, nails, ears, and mouth. So you have to know the basics. And in that, I have them read. I have them do, you know, just different to tie everything in, because there's a lot that I can tell you and I can show you, but you have to learn it for yourself. And there's nothing like old-fashioned book work. There's nothing like, you know, diving in online and doing your homework and doing your research so that you have a really good comprehension and understanding of, you know, of the subject, which is the dog. New dogs or cats, and you actually have to treat them different, and they struggle with a whole different set of issues, you know, you have to be aware of. And as a professional, it's our responsibility to educate the client. And if you haven't been properly educated, then what you gonna do? You know, it ties in together.
So your program, is it an online course or is it also in person?
Mine is strictly in person. So right now I have one girl, her name is Maddie. She's my apprentice, and she's been with me for a little while now, and she's doing an amazing job. She actually started off as a bather at PetSmart, and that was cool, and that's okay. There's definitely nothing wrong with that to get going. So she already understood, but she didn't know how to clip, you know, she didn't know how to cut hair. She didn't really know how to cut nails properly. You know, we are a smaller salon, so I can really spend a lot of time like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is why we do it. And, you know, you can go home and research this and tell me tomorrow what you find out, because everything should coincide with, it's the whole experience. So as a business owner, and because I offer that, it's important to me that I'm being thorough in everything that I do. It's kind of like when you watch the Food Network, and they're not just saying, look at me throw it, like they're giving you, okay, so you have to use a pinch of salt, you have to use a half of, like you have to know all the ingredients. And the same thing for grooming. There's so many layers, but once you get it, it all makes sense. It's not that complicated, but we're professionals, so you want to make sure you're giving the right information.
And that's what we call processes. From A to Z. Can't skip it, that's can't right. Wing it, can't make it up. You gotta follow the recipe.
You can't do the whole thing, you make it. No, you gotta know what you're talking about. You gotta know, because a lot of owners, as a professional period, they look to us for answers, and you have to know how to give them, the right answer, and why you're giving them that answer. Now, we're not doctors, we're not veterinarians, but there's a lot that we can say and that we can recommend that will give their pet a better quality of life.
Totally, 100%. Now, I know there's different ways to go about it. So, Lashonda, they have like in-store, you have a shop outside of Orlando. And then there's also mobile groomers. If someone wanted to get into the grooming industry, which route would you say to go, or any thoughts on that?
Take your time. Start off in a store. Don't just jump into mobile, because you need to be, having a mentor is everything. Having somebody to say, hey, you're doing this wrong, hey, you're doing this right, is everything. Don't just hop in a van and go flying around town thinking you're grooming everybody's dog. Like, oh my gosh, I did the bomb job. And then you have other groomers like, oh God, no, that was not. So, you get in the store, get in position to learn. I worked for someone, I want to say for 7 years. I worked at different salons for 7 years. And I literally took all of, it was like a tree. I was just taking everything that I can from all these different groomers, and they were grooming for like 30 years, 40 years, they had way more experience than me. And I was literally soaking up all the information. I've learned every trick, every tip, like I've learned all the ins and out. And honestly, if you're going to get into mobile, know what you're doing first and be comfortable, and spend the time, even if it's a year, take that time and really learn and master your craft before hopping in the van and going grooming schnoodles and doodles and don't know what the heck you're doing. So take the time.
You've done poodled somebody's doodle and didn't even know. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, I love that you say that, Lashonda, about mentorship, because people don't realize you can take someone's 30 years of experience, and if you get right underneath of them, you just knocked out a lot of headache, a lot of hardship, a lot of bad experiences.
That's exactly what I did. I worked for a groomer, and she had her own shop for 30 years. And I learned so much about how to do books, about systems and processes, what works, what doesn't work. I worked for other salon owners, and I was literally like a child. I was just like, oh, what are you doing? We're moms, so you're cooking and your kids are right there, and they're like, what's that? And that was me, and I advise, not saying that you have to be like me, but be childlike, like be into what's happening, because there's so much to learn, even if you're not looking to be a business owner. But as a stylist, like, you can take all of their mistakes and avoid them, just by taking the time to listen and to pay attention. Because like my girls, I'm like with the scissors, and they say, oh my God, you go so fast. And I'm like, yeah, girl, I've been doing this for years. But you have to start somewhere, but you will get there. But just take the time, get under somebody, be available to, and be honest. If you don't know something, you got to ask, get a mentor, find somebody, even if it's online. I found my mentor online. I was like, oh my God, you so dope. You do such great work. You're so inspiring. And we just kind of connected, because I wasn't afraid to just reach out and say hi, because I was desiring that. But find a mentor, get with somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows their stuff.
And you hit the nail right on the head, because once you align yourself with the right people, you do have to be childlike. You got to humble yourself. Mm-hmm. I did a professional automotive mindset before I got into the pet care industry. And so you only can take your business as far as you know, right?
Yeah.
You're going to take it as far as your natural life experiences or your natural common sense. But then once that's over, you're like, okay, well, what else? You know?
Yeah.
And that's what we share about growth is like, come in as a 5-year-old, come in as a child, be prepared to learn. Like you said, reach out to somebody, you know, say hi. You never know where that hi can take you.
Yeah, I'm actually planning on a trip to go hang out with another groomer in another state. And I just want to, I'm nosy. So I want to see how they run their salon. I love her work. She's an amazing stylist. And I'm going to go, I'm going to get a chair and I'm going to do this. I'm going to watch.
Take your recorder if she allows it. Take your recorder. So
Yeah,
you can
I want to soak up so much stuff because I mean that's the way that we learn. You know, you have to see it and then you have to do it, but you have to give yourself time to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just jump into it. Pets, these are people's babies. You do not want to mess up on these kids at all. If you're walking the dog or if you're feeding them or giving them a bath, you do not want to mess up because you might get cut. We don't want nobody getting cut, right? And I'm not saying for the pet, I'm saying they will cut you.
Yes. Great tips.
You, right?
Be on your game, and if you don't know it, call someone that does. Like
call somebody, but give yourself some time to learn the ins and outs. You know what I'm saying? Like just slow down and it'll tie in together.
I love that so much. And you're so now, Lashonda, you're part of an organization called BGA. Tell us about BGA, what it stands for, what it's about, and where you're going with it.
Okay, so the BGA is basically, we're actually changing the name of it. The BGA is the Black Pet Groomers Association, or the Black Groomers Association. It's for African American groomers. I don't know if it's okay to say the name as of yet, but we're changing.
Save it in case.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's basically a platform for African American minority pet groomers. It's to basically give us an area or a resource so that we can, you know, learn, have mentors, stay connected. Really just, it's a community. It's a community where, you know, the pet care or the pet grooming community, we're not regulated under anything. As groomers, like we have no official regulations, like, you know, as a hairstylist, you have to, you know, have like your state board exam. As a groomer, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So in our community, we want to make sure that we are setting a standard, right? We want to make sure that we are empowering our people emotionally in the areas of education and expertise so that way they can go out and be the best as stylists, as business owners, whatever they choose to do as professional groomers. We want to stand behind them. So I am on the board of the directors. I'm in the education department because I love education. And
we can tell.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that no matter what you do, you should never stop learning. If you're a chef, never stop learning. If you're a groomer, never stop learning. If even like for you in your field, never stop learning because there's so much. Things are changing in everyone's business and everyone's life is having to take a pivot, especially since COVID. Like everybody's going in different directions. So we have to stay on top of our game, right? So in our community, the BGA is for us and it helps us to stay on top of our game. And it's going to have a lot of really cool resources and, you know, Lord willing, affiliates that will make sure that we're doing that.
And I think it's great too, like you said, people of color or minorities may not realize that so once upon a time, dog grooming and pet care was a luxury in our community.
Yeah.
So now more and more Black and brown professionals are coming into play and seeing that, hey, this is actually a really diverse community and you have something to offer too. So bring it on in. We want to share it all. So
and we're so proud of that. We're so proud of that. Like, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, it kind of sparked something. Now, of course, we all want to support Black business, you know, but it really sparked to where it's like, hey, like we're out here, you know, it's a lot of people that we're out here. And in our sector, a little bit about my story is that I never thought of grooming because in my household, or in my community, I would say that a lot of people think that in order to work with animals to make a good living, you have to be a veterinarian. Like you had to be a veterinarian. There's nothing else. Just be a veterinarian. Just be a doctor. And honestly, I wasn't allowed to have pets growing up. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't have a dog growing up. You know, I forgive my parents. I didn't have a dog. I didn't have all the things because you know, having a pet, then it wasn't as like it is now, you know? And I wanted to be a part of the community, and I wanted to do something that was different because I'm such an oddball. And, you know, I love my business so much because it's everything that I ever wanted to do. My salon is the only Black owned pet grooming salon in the area in Orlando. We have different mobile groomers, but I am the only brick and mortar store. And I'm so proud of that because, you know, I love going places and seeing people that look like me. I was the only African-American student in my class. You know, we had some girls come in, but it was predominantly white. And so I kind of felt out of place. So when I found the Black Groomers Association, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, look, it's all of these different people. I was so excited because I didn't have that. I didn't have that in school. I didn't have it growing up where it was like, hey, working with pets is you can have a career and you can have a great life and you can be really dope while you're doing it. Yeah. So as groomers, like I'm seeing a lot more of us pop up, and it's so many talented groomers. It's so much talent in the industry, and I'm happy. They're like little flowers. Everybody's just kind of springing up. Yes. They're little wildflowers. They're just springing up all these different places, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so exciting every day. So I'm happy to see that.
And I love that you say that. I think most people don't realize about like the culture, maybe of where we started. I wasn't allowed to have pets in my house either, but people don't realize it wasn't because we didn't want pets. It was because that's another mouth to feed. So
exactly.
Going into a grooming.
Like, hey, like to have a dog, you're going to have to feed it. And at least I'm grateful that my parents said, hey, no, versus having a dog and my dog was starved to death for, you know, because it is a big responsibility. And I now as a parent, I can see like, okay, having a pet, it is another mouth to feed. It's a big responsibility that we're not prepared to have. However, you know, as an adult, it's kind of like, okay, now I can, you know, partake, because I got 4 dogs now. I don't know why, but I have 4 dogs. Yeah, I have 4 dogs. I have 2 Dalmatians and I have 2 pit bulls. So, you know, they are a lot of work. So, you know, it's definitely something to consider.
Good, but you've been there and you've done that, and you know what it's like to not be raised with the animals, but you know what it's like to still love them and still groom them. So the mindset is different, and you need that space to kind of transition where one luxury may have been seen as a privilege and vice versa. So it is a different mindset when going into it as a business profession. Tell me where you think the grooming industry as a whole is going, you know, in the new wave after 2020. Where do you think you'll see grooming in the next 5 10 years?
I think it's going to the stars and beyond. Infinity and beyond. Yeah. I mean, honestly, pets have become more humanized. So, you know, they have the whole humanization in the pet care industry. Everyone, like you know, there's the designer pets now. So, you know, they need to be groomed. It's really like endless. It's even hard to even say where it's going to go, because the pet care industry itself is $1 billion industry, and it only goes up every year. Even through this pandemic, people are adopting pets. People are spending more time, you know, they're home now. So they're spending more time, and they have the ability to own a pet where before they didn't before, you know? So honestly, I think that the future for the pet grooming industry it's going to boom. You know, it's going to be more demand for pet groomers. Honestly, during the pandemic, it's been a very lucrative year for my business. Like, we only got busier, and I was so sad when we shut down, because I think people were stuck in the house with their dog, and they realized that their dog stunk, and we weren't there to groom them. So when we opened back up, we had a flood of people needing their pets groomed. And like I said, they were even going to the shelter, getting a dog, bringing it in to be groomed, and, you know, taking it home. So, you know, we're just pivoting our business now so that we can accommodate more, because we're primarily grooming, but, you know, now we can get more into retail because the demand is there, because people want to take better care of how they're feeding their pets. They want to take better care of what they're dressing their pets on. You know, they have like luxury collars and leashes and, you know, handbags that your dog can fit in, or your dog can wear a handbag now, I've seen. So like it's only gonna grow.
And don't forget, the dog's hair coloring is more expensive than our hair coloring.
Yeah, and I know all about it because I do a lot of color. So I do a lot of color at our salon. So yeah, it's only growing from here. I think that the industry itself, as a stylist, I think there's going to be a greater demand. It's a trade. You know, being a groomer, it's a trade. And I think you can't teach a robot how to groom the dog, you know, so you're always going to need a person. So I think that even for people getting into grooming, it's still a great time to pick it up.
Perfect. And that's kind of what I wanted to introduce on this summit. What I realized big time, like you said, and I reached out to you and was like, Lashonda, I need tips on grooming because I had an opportunity to open up a grooming store. So I'm like, I think it was so funny going through COVID and the people in different industries of the pet care, if they didn't consider going into grooming. I saw in all my groups, all my mom groups, that people, when they're working 8 hours a day, not smelling their dog, they probably were like, oh, okay, we'll do it later. But now that their dog has turned into their coworker or, you know, their Zoom buddy, oh my God. They're like, I need to get this handled.
Yeah, so, you stink.
Exactly. So if you're in the pet care industry and you are looking for a pivot or you are looking to add another niche to your business, reach out to Lashonda. She knows what she's talking about. Grooming is a beautiful option. And the reward is so nice. You guys do such a great job. I get to see all the pictures and, you know, I'm like, wow, I didn't know that dog could look like this.
Yeah, it's really like, it's really rewarding. I love to see the look on the parents. I mean, you have dogs, so when you get your dog's groomed, you're just like, oh, you look so good. You're so soft. You know, and I love to make raggedy dogs look their best. You know, everybody's entitled to
rags to riches.
Exactly. You know, shag to fab, you know. I love it. I think that people are, like you said, they're spending more time at home, and their dogs or their pets are more like their coworkers now. So they're having to take that extra care of them because, you know, they're with them a lot more. So that's what we're here for. I love teaching. I love mentoring. Anybody have any questions or concerns, you know, I'm always available. DM me, give me a call, email me. I'm always available to be there because I didn't have that, you know, necessarily. So I like to give it.
I love that. That's why we do what we do. Once you've done something and you've had a result, you then reach out and give back. So thank you so much for being on this summit with us. Let us know where we can find you on social media platform. Where can we go and follow you?
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. We are _Paw Shop. Again, that's _Paw Shop. You can also find me on Facebook, the Paw Shop. You can email me if you have any questions or concerns, which is thepawshoponline@gmail.com, and our website is thepawshoponline.com. So check us out there. Anybody needs to find me.
Thank you so much. You will catch Lashonda all over our summit. If you have any questions, you can go right into the chat and answer or ask away so we can answer them. But you have a fabulous day, girlfriend, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.